Well, I loved the script. It was such a, it was one of those scripts that was difficult to put down. It really jumped off the page. And I loved that it was this very contained three-hander, really, between these three characters. And it's something that was very different for me, a genre that was quite different to anything else I'd ever done before. I had a federal marshal on hand to speak to, and he gave me a great insight into what it is to be a marshal, and so I got a great kind of background on what her life would have been like and what her kind of training would have been like. But I actually drew, rather than from a real person, a real marshal, I actually drew more inspiration from characters that I'd seen, actors who had played characters in law enforcement, and actually I'd been watching Happy Valley, so Sarah Lancashire's incredible performance as Catherine Coward was a big inspiration for me. So I was channeling as much of Sarah as I could. Madeline really has heart. There's a past there, and she's trying to rectify her mistakes that she made. The previous operation that she was assigned to went very badly wrong, and she lost a witness, in her hands, under her care. So this assignment for her is really important. She's almost trying to, prove herself again, that she is capable and reliable in the field. And I loved when I read it that there was this past, this kind of bubbling, there's always a sort of energy underneath that, that there's an emotion behind it, and there's a great sadness there for losing a witness. He's got this amazing balance of he's got such, as an audience, you really warm to him, but he's very funny. It's such a kind of great balance that he manages to kind of find with this role. I think you laugh at him, but you also kind of feel like you want to cry for him, and in those moments that are really serious. Very, very quickly, we realised this is going to be quite intense and tight, and I guess not, having that sort of restriction is interesting, because you do, so much of filming depends on, you're contained depending on the shot, but for this you're really contained throughout. So it was just sort of something to get used to at the beginning, that you can't really move around much. I'm pretty much stationary, either in the passenger seat or the pilot seat. So in some ways, when I got up and was able to sort of fight with Mark, it was nice to actually, get moving a bit. But in a way, you're constantly on the move. I mean, that's how I felt as Madeline, because she's always trying to, tee up her next move, and she's constantly thinking ahead. So you're active, despite the fact that you can't really, move around that much. We've got this incredible stunt trainer, Dave Barrett, who, took me through the basics to start with, and then really we just started going through, that first initial fight between Madeline and Daryl. But we always, from the start, we always kind of talked about the idea of it being very messy, because it's in such a tight space. There's very little movement, that you can do. You can't run away or, back off from the person. It's so tight. So we wanted it to feel really authentic, really, not too choreographed, just, gritty and messy. And I think they really achieved that. But I can't remember the last time you played a character this nasty. So it was, amazing to see that transformation. It is a really nasty character. Like, there are no qualities about him that can understand why he's the way he is, or it's just a very and quite broad performance as well. I feel like it's, you know, he goes very far with it. But there's a playfulness to the way he's doing it as well. It's like a really unnerving playfulness that I think makes it even more scary. He's so unpredictable. You just don't know what he's going to do. To both Madeline and Winston.